of the concept that we have. So many countries are doing this quota system for women to have the chance to be represented in the National Assembly. But we have this now. For them to be elected in the 7 regions of the Gambia, 2 from each region, that's going to be a good number, and 2 disabled who are going to be elected by the organization or by the disabled organization in the Gambia. So I think for us to do justice, we have to support this for women to have the chance to come, because it is always difficult as I said. Whenever a woman have the intention to contest elections here, the first thing that they will say is she married or not. They will start talking about negative things about you. Either they are true or not, they will be saying so many things. So you don't even, the support from the family, you will not have it, rather than from the community or the country at large. So it is very difficult. So this is the only chance that they have, or that can help them to have a good number in this parliament. And there are some things that, to be quite honest, that they are the only one who will be able, or who will be bold enough, or who will be comfortable to say it for themselves, or for themselves. There are some issues. I heard about a bill that was passed in the Parliament of Scotland, that a member of Parliament come with a bill for the government of Scotland to be given free parts to each and every woman or lady in the country for free. And it was very easy, and it was approved. And the majority of the names in the Parliament, Scottish Parliament, are men. So there are things that men cannot advocate 100% for the women. It is themselves that can do it for the population of the women in the whole country. So I'm appealing to everyone to give weight to this bill and support it for it to be passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Member Woolley West.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, nothing is once and for all the same. Everything in society and nature changes. Historically, women were over men in society. That has happened in our lives, in our existence. It has changed, and now it's men. And historical circumstances of our society are such that it has been difficult for women to participate equally in politics like men. And since society cannot move without women, given the fact that you can say that they are the most important elements in society, since they are the childbearing people, and they are responsible for bringing up children in society. In that regard, you can say that they are the most important. And therefore, it is important that such people in society are given certain fundamental considerations, one of which is to assume responsibility for the management of the affairs of society. Women should be key in that, given their fundamental role of being childbearers in society. It has not been easy for them, even though in our political activities, women are more prominent. If you go to any constituency, women are more prominent in politics than men. And women are always active in politics, even outside elections. Even outside elections, women are always active in politics. I don't think there is anybody here who will deny me that. As far as I'm concerned, in my constituency, women are always active in politics. whether there is election or there is no election. And whenever they see something is going wrong, they rise up. So that's why they are more active in politics than men are. Most men are only active when there is an election. And now that society is fundamentally changing, it is important that we give women that role that they deserve in society. People are saying yes because there are many. There are more than men. For me, it is not necessarily because there are more than men. Even if there are 1/4 of men, they should have that same privilege, same right as been enjoyed by men in this institution as well as other institutions in our country. And that's why I'm in full support of this affirmative action to make it possible for women to play their role in managing the affairs of our country within the realms of this fundamental institution. When I read the bill, I see that for me it is limited, it is not clear. Because if you say, Madam Speaker, I'm referring to the bill clause. The issue of 14, how they are to be elected, is not clearly defined in the bill. I'm not against 14 women being maybe even before more than that, but it should be properly defined so that there's no problem when we come to deal with it in practical terms. But now in practical terms, when you look at it, just say 14 women in all over the country, 2 from each region. But how? 2 from each region, how? Where? That is what should be made clear in the bill, so that when it comes to be implemented, we don't run against any hurdles. Madam Speaker, I'm not going to say much, but when we come to deal with the bill, at committee stage, maybe there are certain suggestions that one can make to improve it better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Talinding.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I will join the rest of the Assembly to commend my colleague for making this historic event happen today, member for Banjul South. And I will also like to commend the champion of women rights activists, the Minister of Women's Affairs, Women's Bureau, among others, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 5th Legislature, we are here today to be a face of the cold face of making it happen. We are here speaking for the vulnerable who cannot speak for themselves. So let us try and make it happen, Madam Speaker. Going through the bill itself, where it says the bill also imposed an obligation on political parties to promote gender equity in the selection of candidates to contest National Assembly election, as well as respect for human rights. And this is quite true, because human rights are rights that everyone is born with. It's not that one needs to go to a shop and buy it or credit it. So therefore, as people who constitute 52% of the population, women, I don't think our rights need to be tampered. I am fully in support of the bill, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, again, going by the same bill, it also states that there are obvious reasons that we need to have women representation in Parliament, because we are caregivers. Wherever we are affected, Wherever we are excluded, everybody is affected. So for that being the case, I think to have 14% 14 reserved seats for women is obvious. Madam Speaker, as elected representative, there is nobody in this parliament who is not voted into this parliament by women. We have never seen anywhere where we talk of by-comping, but we always rely on DCI comping to get our votes. So for that being the case, I am calling on all honorable members to support the bill. On that note, Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Jara East. Jara East. Oh, okay, Busumbala, thank you.
For the empowerment of women in the decision-making of the Parliament. Madam Speaker, I want to remind the Parliament the good work of the fourth Parliament, fourth legislature, the fourth one, the previous one, not this one. If a bill was like this, I know, was not brought for the enlargement of the constituencies, probably I, Honorable Olundum and 𝐍𝐚𝐭𝐢𝐨𝐵𝐚𝐴 Brikama North and Brikama South will not be in the Parliament. Because they did a good job, expand the Parliament, Busumbala was created, Olundum created, 𝐍𝐚𝐴 created, Brikama North and Brikama South. No, these are the places that I'm used to. I'm an MP of Como, of West Coast. 3 of us, Olundum, 𝐍𝐚𝐴, and we are Combo North, 1. Brikama Central, now been enlarged to 2, we to 3. That means the vulnerable people of our society have the chance to be represented. Because if, for example, one person is going to represent over 100,000 people, it will be very difficult for an individual. Smaller size, everybody have opportunity in the decision making. So obviously I accept and I want to support the enlargement. And more especially for women, Madam Speaker. I want to make it very to people. Every individual you see is working very hard for a successor. Somebody succeed you. And who succeed is your children that you have. I, Honorable Judge, my first 3 children are all female. So having a bill like this, that means I'm giving chance to those children that are time to have the opportunity to be in the Parliament. So these are some of the reasons I'm trying to tell you. So it's not with a small margin for us to have a bill like this to empower our Gambian women. And not only in the Parliament, but every sector of life, women need to be empowered. However, Parliament have procedures. I believe the mover will agree, because nobody will say this is not a good bill. But I believe the due process will be followed so that we can have the best amendment that nobody will live to regret and all of us will live to celebrate. Madam Speaker, a point to bring it up. My lady councillor that works with me for the interest of women in my constituency is here seated. And the greater percentage of elected population in my constituency are women. I cannot say the other sect doesn't vote for us, many of us to come here, but the greater number of people that voted for us to come to the parliament is the women. So why I'm trying to give all this, the importance of this bill is even long overdue. It should have come earlier. Because according to procedure, we all know it cannot be effective this election, parliamentary election that is coming. Because IEC law says 6 months before any elections for a constitutional amendment. That has a link to election process. So obviously, it cannot be effective. That's why I'm saying it's long overdue. It should have come earlier. 6 months or a year before, so that it can be effective in these parliamentary elections. But however, why I quoted the fourth parliament is because the good job that they do, I am lucky to be here. So I believe my members will also agree for us to do a good job, so that come next parliament, we'll have more representation of women in the parliament. Madam Speaker, as I mentioned, there are procedures. And parliament, constitutional amendment, we all know it has procedures of about 75% of members should vote for it. So I think we are cognizant of that. But also procedure that we follow, because this is not a mere bill, it's a constitutional amendment. You know, and in my society when I was young, my grandmother would tell me, if you can permit me in my Dinka to say, Lua Messiatele. Are you the speaker? I'm asking the speaker to permit me. What does that mean? What does that translate? It means, if you think you are right here, there could be a portion that catches you. So that's the law. Probably when we want to change this one, then we need to have a better consultation to know whether it won't have any other impact on any other clause or section of the 1997 Constitution. So we need to have a proper consultation on this bill to have the best one of it. That's one. 2, Madam Speaker, I am very sure the mover must have done consultations with the executive. Because expanding the National Assembly will it will incur cost. All right? Because we are 53. If we want to bring another 14 or so, that means more cost is going to be on the burden of the National Assembly. I am very sure the mover has put that into consideration and have done a proper engagement with the executive. Madam Speaker, I also want to bring this to the provision of the Constitution that says an act could be brought up for the medium of communication in the Parliament. All the time you say here, the language, the people that we represent, when we talk, very few understand what we say. We all agree to that. Some doesn't even know what is happening in the Parliament, because they don't have any business with it, because the language that we speak here, they don't understand. And the language you speak here is not as perfect as the British. So I want to bring this. Wouldn't it also be better to have the amendment or have an act as being indicated in the Constitution to change the language of communication in the Parliament? If we want our vulnerable people to be represented here, to say what they want to say, and for them to be understood by the people that they are going to represent. My members, this is my suggestion that I'm trying to bring here, which I believe will give more value, more weight to this bill. Because I don't want to, we know it in societies. Why not many of the women wanted to come for political positions to come and represent? We know our level of education in schools. We all cry about it. That one is very obvious. That's why I said, some of us, we speak English here. We think that we are British when we are French English speakers. We speak as Because the quality of education sector is not to that extent. The level of understanding of the English is not to that extent. So if somebody could be very potential in the society, could be very useful in the parliament here, or in the decision body, but because of the medium of communication, the person might feel shy. So I'm trying to bring this up. Whether that was put into consideration, and it would be very, very good for it to be put into consideration. Madam Speaker, I believe the mover have done a survey of the social awareness of the people, social stroke religion. Because some societies will say, some structures in the societies will say, no, women are not good for anything, only to be in the kitchen to cook for the husband. Girls, let me just send them for them to understand their names, how to write their names and sign, but they go off. Do you consider all those things? Because I want this bill to be the best bill so that the vulnerable people can be represented in the parliament. The educational equity. Yes, we have free education in Gambia, but is it definitely free for that sector to be able to be educated, to have a chance to be elected? Madam Speaker, my last point that I wanted to, I think when you become, but I want to suggest it here, the procedure. I'm confused. If you say 14 women, 2 elected from each administrative area, we know by culture, elections are done through political parties. But you said 14 are going to be represented, but 2 from each. 2 going to be elected from regions. Is it going to be on women organizations in the regions to vote, or is it going to be also political parties to vote? I give an example. For example, NPP, UDP, APRC. Are we going to select our 2 to vote? So the first 2, they are qualified to represent the region. But if that is done, if it is going to be based on politics, political parties, then are we considering the political lens of also? Because we are going to empower, there are going to be a situation where a political party might or will have a lot of representatives in the parliament. And we all also know it. In democracy, we need to have a balance. So I have this question in my mind for the mover to put it to the members. Madam Speaker, I will not take the National Assembly long because when I stood up, they say, make it short. Because they know I am very happy with this bill. But I want the mover and the National Assembly, let us not all be ambitious, over-ambitious, and the act here is a very big, very good one. Well, let's consider the due process and have the best with all this consideration from me. And I know others are going to bring other considerations. So on that note, Madam Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity, and I thank the mover for bringing up this very good amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Bakau, Honorable Member for Bakau, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. From the mover. A bill entitled An Act to Amend Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia 1997 to enlarge the composition of elected members. Are you talking of extra 14 members? I would need a clarification on that. When you come to the second page, you're talking of 14 women, 2 elected from each administrative areas. This is a bit conflicting. You're talking of enlargement of composition of members. To be more specific, are you talking of extra 14 seats, or are you talking of 14 women elected from each administrative area? Unless you made those clarifications for me, then I can give my support to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Sami. Yes, Sami.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I want to refer this House to Section 89 of the Constitution, which really did not indicate any discrimination as to who should contest and who should not contest. the field is level for everybody. If you want to contest and you have the qualification, you are a Gambian, and you reach at the age. Madam Speaker, the reason why this amendment came is simply because we feel that women are not coming to the political field to contest simply because maybe it's because of traditional or any other things. As other speakers said, Madam Speaker, this is in the draft constitution, 2020. It is in the draft constitution. And this very house throw it out. And they want to bring it back. This is why, as the saying goes, when you are digging a hole, let it not be deep. You may fall into it. That means we did not make proper consultation. There is nobody who is against this, Honorable Speaker. But it came at a wrong time. It came at a wrong time. It will come to us. Let us take our time. Even we don't come back, there are people who will come back. We are not better than them. Yes, we are not better than them. Why should we rush on this? We say it is there. Anytime you want to increase, you are increasing cost. And look at this space. That one also is a cost, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and it is stated that the 53 seats will remain added to this 17, because 14 for every region. 14 plus 2 disabilities. That's 16. So it's another cause. And if we look at the draft constitution says no to nominated members. And now we want to reduce it. We say 2. No to it. I say no to it. No nominated. What for? It is in the draft constitution. And we throw it, now we want to bring it. Let's make it 0. No nominate members.
Observation, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Observation.
No observation. If your time comes, what you want to say, you can say. I'm the one on chair, please. Please, no, 0. Nominated members, 0. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the disabilities, I haven't thought over that. Normally, it's 1 disabilities. But it should be 2. For the simple fact that the one should be at the Greater Banjul area, the other one should be at the rural area. Not all of them should be here. Not all of them should be here, if that is to be. So that those at the rural areas, they can also meet with that disabled person and say their problems to him or her. Because there was a time when these people were called upon here to come and collect something. They suffered, Madam Speaker. Those from rural areas called them here just for something. What is wrong with the regional offices? Can they go to those regional offices? Calling somebody all the way from Basse to come here. You know how they suffer to reach those places? That's why I'm saying that if that is to be, let them have it 2. The other one be from Greater Banjul, the other one from rural areas. We don't want everything to be here. Madam Speaker, this 14 that they are talking of, others have, said it. But we said 14 every region. Sorry, F2 every region. And how many political parties? I don't know how are they going to select it. How many political parties? And an independent may come up. An independent may come up. Madam Speaker, finally, I'm recommending let us refer to ABC and we make consultations before we pass this. Let us refer to ABC. There is more time, Madam Speaker. Why are we rushing? Because we say, yes, it can be passed from 50 legislators. Are we better than the 6 that are coming? Let them also think about it. Let us pass it to ABC. ABC, if they cannot bring the report, let it be there. When the order comes, they can look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Jara East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. I also rise to contribute my quota with regards to the subject matter. Honorable Speaker, women empowerment is very critical in our day-to-day activities. And this component that we are talking about are considered as the critical mass. They are very important in our developmental drive. Honorable Speaker, to come to the Constitution, women has never been disenfranchised by our Constitution. The role of women has been seen very, very important and is quite conspicuous. It is known to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Therefore, women empowerment, Madam Speaker, I think all of us will agree. But with regards to this constitutional amendment, I have a problem with the timing and the approach. Is the timing proper? And why the rush, Honorable Speaker? And to go to nomination, in fact, contemporary trends in Africa and the wider world have seen that nominations are not becoming fashionable. Because there is one danger in nominating an individual. The tendency for that individual, the nominee, to toe the line of that party who nominated him or her. We have a lot of examples here. Those who were nominated by powers that be. They are at the beck and call of those who nominated them. They give their souls to those who nominated them. And in the end, they become myopic to national development. We have seen that. Examples are quite abound, and they are numerous. Honorable Speaker, therefore, I, for one, would suggest that this to be referred to the committee for further scrutiny. It does not mean that I'm averse to the idea, but I think we need time, and we need adequate time. If at all the Constitution is anti-women, I would have thrown in my weight to say, yes, it is timely, because they are not defended by the Constitution. But there is no provision in the Constitution which says that women are going to be disenfranchised. The Constitution is very clear about participation in the political life of one's country. There exists a level playing field for all and sundry. If men have the audacity to throw in their hearts, women are also availed the same opportunity to also come into the ring and wrestle. And I think we all know that we have women who can contest elections and win just like their counterparts. We have women who have the wherewithal, who have the integrity, the moral fiber to contest with their male counterparts. And we have women who have weathered the storm and they are standing tall. So I believe, Madam Speaker, as long as the Constitution does not disenfranchise our women, I think we should not rush this bill. And I have some questions for the mover. And this must be seen as my detached opinion. Is this out to empower elitism, the elite class? How about those who are not lettered, those who can read and write? Will they have the opportunity to slice the cake? Are they going to be factored into the equation? I understand that it's targeting across the country, all regions. But not all regions' women are lettered. So that's one of my doubts, and the timing also. Madam Speaker, to end a long story, I think this should be subjected to further scrutiny, whether we can put our heads together and come up with a more comprehensive, ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Serekunda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The fact that this debate is taking place in the first place is historic. And the member for Banjul South should be commended for opening up this historic debate. We are trying to craft a law that would add value to our own society, its evolution, its development, politically, economically, socially. We do not make laws in a vacuum. Laws are made based on what exists. If we deem it to be inadequate, we improve the law. That is why Section 101 of the Constitution, subsection 2 states that no bill other than a bill referred to in subsection 5 shall be introduced in the National Assembly unless it is accompanied by an explanatory memorandum setting out in detail the policy and principles of the bill, the defects it is intended to remedy, and the necessity for its introduction. And our Standing Order 64 simply amplifies the importance of stating the objects and reasons of the bill so that we will know why the bill is before us in the first place. And Honorable Speaker, that is why the second reading is about the principles, the objects, and the merits, not the details. Honorable Speaker, looking at the bill, the objects are very clear that it seeks reservation of specific seats for women and persons with disabilities. It seeks to promote gender equity and ensure greater participation in the public life of the Gambia, and they mentioned based on a consultative process, and they mentioned the process that brought the draft constitution before us as one of those processes. Looking at the merit, we must look at the genesis. It is, of course, recognized by practice and law that there is inequity. That is why Section 15 of the Women's Act states very clearly, Honorable Speaker, that, and it deals with temporary special measures in favor of women, that every organ, body, public institution, Section 15, authority or private enterprise shall adopt temporary special measures as set out in this Act aimed at accelerating de facto equity between men and women. Equality between men and women. The special measures to be adopted under subsection 1 shall not be considered discrimination as defined in this Act or in any other law in force, but shall in no way entail as a consequence the maintenance of unequal or separate standards, and be discontinued when the objects of equality of opportunity and treatment have been achieved. So essentially, it is conceived that for some reason there is inequity, and the object is to eradicate that inequity, create equity, and therefore allow fairness to take place. So in that regard, that is really the continuum that brings this bill before us. We understand the objects. What is important is to look at the constitutional basis of the bill, as well as put on what is usually called our gender lenses to see whether it is driving us towards the fundamental objective of creating equity. Honourable Speaker, Section 226 of the Constitution is very clear that a bill must be published in the Gazette for at least 90 days, 3 months, and another 10 days, no less than 10 days, before its introduction. It goes further that after the first reading and going to the second reading, it must be supported by the votes of, and people can look at it, I don't need to be looking at it to quote it, 3/4 of the majority of the Parliament to pass in the second reading and the third reading before it can be submitted to the President for assent. So we must bear that in mind. And whenever we meet to discuss, the mobilization should be done, because this is talking about 3/4 of the members. So you're talking about 42. The mathematician, political mathematician can calculate. We need a certain number, and don't quote me the 42. I'm not taking the initiative to do the mathematics, but we need 3/4 in the second reading, 3/4 in the third reading for it to ultimately pass. Honorable Speaker, looking at the merit, I would remind this National Assembly and women in general of the Women's Amendment. What did it say? It says that for the purpose of special measures under Section 15, provided in subsection 1, it shall be mandatory for every public institution, authority, or state-owned enterprise to ensure that for political and public offices, a minimum of 30% of all offices possible, position and appointment are reserved for women. You've already talked about 30%. And I'm hearing 14 members. Is that what you want? You've already have a law which needs implementation. If need, it should impact on constitutional reform. What are you fighting for? It's left to you. But it's not you, it's also me. As all of us have said, we are all brought into this world by a woman. And we can never be superior to that woman. So when we talk about women, we're not talking about somebody isolated from us. It is in our blood what brought us into this world, what educated us, guided us. So we're not fighting for the right of somebody there. We are fighting for ourselves. So essentially, our laws have been developing. And now they should ensure, we should ensure, as National Assembly, to find out what we need. Do we need to make it higher from statutory to constitutional? What process will it require? Do we use this measure as a temporary measure? I'm in support of any measure, gradualist or any measure, but let us be focused. Let us be focused and let us know that what we are doing is fit for purpose. Some members, Honorable Speaker, have mentioned, but that will come during the consideration of the content of the bill. I quite agree with some of our members. It was in 1947 that the colonialists accepted for one person to be elected in the Legislative Council. They created an executive council, legislative council, but they were all advisory. They had no authority. And they nominated members to them, both official and unofficial. So the power of the governor to nominate asserted the dominance of the governor over the legislative and executive council. So it was a process of struggle. 1960 universal suffrage. Ultimately, 1963 internal self-government, 65 independence without actually sovereignty, 70 sovereign existence of the nation. All these were processes, but in each of those constitutions, you will see nomination by the governor, even participation by the chiefs. Chiefs used to have 5 elected representatives in the House of Representatives. I think if my memory is right, 36 chiefs selecting 5 representatives, and they were equal to the rest. So essentially, we are moving towards getting rid of that power of the executive to influence the National Assembly. And it was hoped that a third Republican Constitution will enable us to achieve that. We have not achieved that. Would the Honorable Member for Banjul South leave a legacy of nomination? I don't think she would want to do that. I will strongly advise that when we come, we expunge that from the text. Okay, I will not go to the detail, but let's bear in mind the principle of nomination, how it arose, and why we must get rid of it. It should not feature in any modern legislation. So looking at the element of representation by those who are considered people living with disabilities, have they really been secured? When we look at the content, the mover should look at it again. Women who are living with disability, are they really secured? Or is it open that even 2 men could be selected. So interpretation matters when you're making a law. So therefore, what you mean is what should be there. If you don't capture it, then you leave it open to all sorts of misinterpretation. Honorable Speaker, it is important that the Women's Amendment Act covers the issue of political parties. So do we want something more inferior where they promote? This is not talking about promotion, it's saying, it's fixing the number, the percentage. So what do we do? I think that is a question that all of us should answer. Notwithstanding, it's a progressive move, and it shows what Parliament can do through private members' bill. And we believe that this will impact. We've seen a number of private members' bill. We can see what Parliament is capable of doing. We believe that all these moves will now impact on the development of our Parliament as the theater for considering what improves the lives of our people, defend their fundamental rights, enlarge their freedom, and enhance their prosperity. We do impact on that by making the law which governs how society is governed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for 𝐍𝐚𝐿.
Thank you very much, Honorable. As previous speaker said, definitely this is timely. And in fact, this could have come earlier than today for us to definitely do justice to this, because looking at the general overview of the bill, I think nobody will against it, in my own view, because this is something that that is dealing with our women, the greater part of the population that we represent here. Before coming here and before taking my stand, I did my small consultation with some women, and then I think it is only right if I stand here to definitely give my support to this bill. It is timely, as of now, since time is gone. This is our last session, unless if there is any extraordinary session, but this is our last ordinary session, and then it is definitely good to leave a legacy of such. Just few comments that I have regarding its general outlook. Looking at the subtitle and commencement, not going into the details, but I think these are issues that we need to these are issues that we need to check. There is no way it can be effected in this legislative election that is coming. And then I think it is only proper to make sure we get the correct text and rectify and amend where necessary. I know the process will be on, and then we will do justice to the process and make sure that anything that is left behind or anything that we need to add it to give more substance to it, to give it more credit, to give it more value, definitely we will do. Just another important thing is regarding the consultation. It is very, very important that we do consultation on this bill, because I know every Gambian will love it, every political party will love it, but it's important we consult them as political parties. Let's get to the bottom of everything, consult the political parties, the executive, the general structure of the political parties, so their opinions about this, and then we come here and do justice. Not only us as legislators, we sit here and do what we think is right. I think it's important we give them that credit, consult the various political parties. I don't know whether it is done, but if it is not done, it needs to be done. And also the executive, I think it is important for them to be consulted, because in one way or the other, it's affecting some parts regarding the executive power to nominate in this assembly and so on. It's important that we consult them, and also, like other members said, having extra seats here, have some other issues. I think these are issues that we can definitely take up. But in a nutshell, I think it is non-controversial. It is a welcome bill on behalf of my people and on behalf of whosoever that can hear my voice and throw his or her weight behind this. I think it is a good bill, and I urge all my members, all the members of the National Assembly to support this, because anything for women is for all of us. Thank you very much.
Nyamina West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, Madam Speaker, I humbly want to be part of the history. This bill is very essential, and I commend my colleague, the mover. I also commend women organizations that are behind the minister. I will join my colleagues in saying that it's a very good bill, since among all of us here, all of us can attest that every member here equally would want his wife, his daughter to represent or to be a member of parliament. And then all of us attest to the importance or to the respect we give a lady or woman. So therefore, I also found this bill very interesting, and essentially it is worth supporting. Most of our colleagues spoke here, and they advised that the mover make more consultations as far as there are many questions has been raised, and that the only thing we concern about the technicality of the bill and due procedure. Like my colleague or the member for Serekunda said, we need to give the bill due procedure. But if that's not the case, I believe every member of parliament would love to see this bill passed if deemed fitting technically, because like I've said, we all yearning for the support of women. Most of us depend on them when it comes to politics, and they are our mothers. We know the support we had from them. So therefore, we will advocate for this bill. Technically, that's just the question, but there are many laws, or I can say there are many outlets that this thing is fitting already. I myself can say the Constitution, the 1997 Constitution, has leveled the ground for politics for everyone in the Gambia, and the Women Act is also there. So what stranded women on politics has just gone more than on laws. We can say, per se, when it comes to funding in their elections, how many of the ladies will be ready to support financially, and so on and so forth. So there are many other things that is stranding them, but just beyond the laws and the acts that we are passing here. But like I've said to myself, I have the belief that the 1997 Constitution has leveled the ground, and then the Women Act is also there for them. So we will be supportive, but let us all reason well to see that we come out with a befitting procedure. That is the normal procedure technically. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Kiang Central.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Let me equally join my honorable colleagues to thank the honorable member for Banjul South, the mover of the motion. Honorable Speaker, the Gambia as a country, we have an international obligations. And one of those obligations is the Millennium Development Goal 5, where world leaders have committed themselves to combat poverty hunger disease, as well as illiteracy and discrimination against women. Therefore, it is important that women are considered in decision-making processes. They should be in decision-making institutions where decisions are taken. Honorable Speaker, I will not go far. Back home in the Gambia, you will all agree with me that the role of women in this country, in the development of this country, is very, very important. And in a nutshell, they already assume their position. They are hardworking. We had a commission called the Algali Commission, Honorable Speaker, 1994, immediately after the military takeover, when most of us were going to school. A lot of people appeared before that commission. And if my memory serves me well, hardly a woman was accused of being corrupt in that commission. So what is stopping us from including them in decision-making processes? Honorable Speaker, of recently concluded Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission. A lot of people appeared before that commission. I've never remembered an instant where somebody said, a woman tortured me, a woman enslaved me, a woman do this or that to me. So that alone is telling us how honest they are, how important they are in our society. So if we have such a group, why not we have them as our partners in the development of this nation? What is stopping us? Honorable Speaker, I think what is important here, the most fundamental thing is the way and manner, the method that we're going to apply, the method that we are going to use in order to include them in positions of decision-making is what we need to look at. Because if you talk of democracy, you're talking of a fair play. And here, the choice of people matters a lot. So what we must put on our agenda lens and look at election and selection or nomination. Which method is appropriate for us? But what is important and what we must all remember is that it is important we critically look at this amendment. And for me, I feel it's very, very important. Like the Honorable, one of the previous speakers said, it is timely that we looked at the issues of women and then include them in our decision-making processes in a more free, in a more democratic manner. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I beg to take my seat.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Jara West, is it? Yes, Jara West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Almost we're going to follow one another's suit. It is the same topic that we're talking about, and probably you may notice something that was previously discussed, and it would be of time waste to go back to that again. But the bill has an objective and it has a regime, like we all have it on our decks. It is requesting for a constitutional amendment of the Republic of the Gambia 1997 Constitution. I wish we have the draft constitution here today. If so, this debate would not happen, because the problem is already solved in that constitution. And probably our time is finished. Otherwise, we're going to have many amendments. We really need that constitution. But the time has gone now. Probably the 6th legislative will find a lot of amendments from this 1997 constitution. Hadn't been we have that new constitution with us now, This could have been things in the past. My other observation is, like my colleague has alluded to, Honorable Member for Busumbala. Yes, generally we have to adore our mothers, our sisters, our daughters. They are our strength politically, culturally, and socially. There is nobody here who probably may go against this quota system, this proportional representation, if only you understand it. Looking at our population, generally, and looking at our representation in terms of gender, one can say that they are not fully represented in the National Assembly, and not even the National Assembly in other, avenues where people are represented. You go to councils, you find the same thing. Know the number of councillors in the country, and you think how many of them are female. You'll find the problem at every quarter. So there is no ambiguity, there is no dispute in accepting for this proportion. I personally thought this would be the first bill. In fact, I thank my colleague, Honorable Njai, for coming up with this private member bill. But I thought this bill should come from the Ministry of Women's Affairs immediately after that ministry was instituted. That was my hope. But it is also better to come from a member. Hence, there is a provision in the Constitution and in the standing order that any member can come with a private member bill. And to make a long story short, because it's the same thing that we are all going to repeat, I would like us to follow the due process. Let us not be in a haste. It is a constitutional amendment that we could have just taken easily, but now we make it difficult. We need to have an advice. Technically, we need to have an advice, because Honorable Member for Busumbala was pointing at certain things when it comes to selection and election at the level of the region. What modalities are we going to use? Even if that is not our responsibility, but the law that we are going to enact will give power to that. So we need to get a correct advice from that, probably from the relevant committees of the National Assembly. I am suggesting if we can give the bill to the ABC committee for committal to a committee responsible, so that we get, a clear advice, an informed decision to take. We all know that this, even if we enact it, might not be effective this election. Then we need an advice from technicians on how to enact this bill before we rush. Thank you, Madam Speaker. That's my contribution.
Thank you, Ilyasa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Men and women, fathers and mothers, you need to be very careful, Madam Speaker. If you go to the Constitution, Madam Speaker, just 28, page 29, rights of women, Madam Speaker. Women shall be accorded fully and equal dignity of a person with a man, Madam Speaker. 2, women shall have the right to equal treatment with men, including equal opportunity in politics, economic and social activities. This is enough, Madam Speaker. So that being the case, Madam Speaker, as far as we are Muslims in this country and Christians, we are guided by two things: the Holy Quran and Holy Hadith, and the First Testament of the Bible. So that being the case, Madam Speaker, there's no time for us to approve this bill. The time is too short, and we're now going for elections. So that being the case, Madam Speaker, I say no. Until and unless we consult our religious leaders and the Christians to guide us. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Member for 𝐶𝐚𝐭𝐢𝐨𝐬𝐴.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think I would be very precise because, Honorable Speaker, when greater minds speak before you, they almost reduce you to nothing. I just have one or two issues that I want to share with my colleagues. And the point of departure, Honorable Speaker, as quoted by the Honorable Member for Sami, is absolutely right. The Constitution have actually created a level playing field for both men and women of this country. But we have to agree the realities of society. And that is why the mover of the motion is coming up with this amendment that no one of us can dispute. Honorable Speaker, that being said, I want to commend the Honorable Member for Banjul South, who have also added her name in the history of this 5th legislature. I think if passed or not, this will be the 3rd private member's bill coming from the National Assembly of the Gambia, which my veterans are here, Honorable Member for Wuli West and Serekunda. I don't think it has ever happened in the history of the Gambian National Assembly or Parliament, as you may call it. So it's an achievement that Honorable Member for Banjul South must be commended for, and the entire Parliament must equally be commended for giving our support to the previous 2 bills that were enacted here. Honorable Speaker, as I said earlier on, I've been reduced to almost nothing, but I want to thank the women folk for coming in their numbers to show solidarity, and also the Honorable Minister in charge of them for being here in person to listen to the deliberation from the Honorable members. That being said, Honorable Speaker, I actually would not hesitate to peruse with my colleagues all throughout the stages to ensure that this bill, whether by the 5th legislature or by the 6th legislature, but history cannot write us off, because the bill have been, the motion have been moved by the Honorable Member for Banjul South. So whether the 5th legislature will enact it or the 6th legislature will enact it, of course, we will be part of the people that made the history in ensuring that women have been given the opportunity to also take their responsibility in terms of taking decisions that affect them, that affect the general citizenry of this country. That being said, Honorable Speaker, with your permission, I beg to take my seat.
Yes, Fonyi Bintang.
Thank you very much, Session. Madam Speaker, as the member for Councillor has alluded to, most of what we have to say have been alluded by our previous speakers. I'll be very brief. Madam Speaker, as we all know that in all our societies, or even in the Gambia, women form the majority. But when we come to the decision making, they are not represented as it should be. I think this is the reason why the member for Banjul South brought this bill. Madam Speaker, we all know that really some of our members has alluded to that the Constitution has a plain level field for all women and men. But we all know that there are other obstacles which are not constitutional, but religious, cultural, and other things that make them not to come to the parliament. So we all know that these are some of the barriers. How are you going to tackle also these barriers? We also think about that. But I think it all boils down to advocacy. I think the women from the minister to the women leaders, I think we should advocate for this. Talk to our people, talk to the ladies, and talk to everybody to understand these cultural barriers and regional barriers. I think that also is some of our problems. Madam Speaker, I think it is very, very important. As far as women are the majority, is very important. It should not be always meant for planning for them, deciding for and implementing for them. I believe that we should plan together, decide together, and implement together. That can only be done when we have a fair representative at the parliament. And Madam Speaker, I don't even want it to be only at the parliament, even from the cabinet. Let us start from the cabinet to the parliament and to other institutions. I join my colleagues in supporting this bill, Madam Speaker, but also I have an advice also to the women, Madam Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, at the moment when a woman wants to vie for parliamentary, to come as a parliament for elections, the first person or the first people who will intimidate or insult the lady is the lady themselves. Honestly, they should stop that and make sure that they empower their fellow women. And a particular example of mine is when I became a National Assembly member and I went to one of my ward to have a female councillor. The day I presented that councillor, come and see how these women are insulting that lady. And they should be first being to be empowering that lady. You have to force away. But they say no. So my advice to the minister is, please talk to your ladies. When a female candidate wants to contest, please give her a support. That is very, very important. Because the ladies are the main problem. So I'm advising the minister so that if possible, I don't know how we're going to do it with the women, so that you can, that of an advocacy, so that you can understand that they should empower women to become. We are not saying that they should be only this 14 only. We want them to be also represented by elections. It's very, very important. So, Madam Speaker, on that note, I beg to take my seat.
Honorable Member for Woolly East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I equally thank the Honorable Member for Banjul South, the mover of this very important bill, and all the women activists that have played one role or the other in making sure that this bill reaches these chambers today. Honorable Speaker, the objective of the bill is clear, that it is meant to bring about a quota system that would provide for all, affirmative action to bring the other half of society to the level of their male counterparts, so that they'll be part and parcel of the decision-making process of their country. I believe that is the main objective. Honorable Speaker, just a little observation at the short title of the bill, which makes gender equity in selecting candidates, where it's stated in the Act that no. Stop commenting. Yes, that 2021 and shall come into operation on the general election of members of the National Assembly in 2022. That's just a little comment, that we need to look at that very deeply to see whether it is feasible, and if it is feasible, why not? We should go ahead and do it. Honorable Speaker, in terms of creating equity in selecting candidates for election, as it is in the bill, giving respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. I want to quote the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, with your permission, where it says, everyone has the right to take part in the government of his or her country. One of the first tasks of the Commission on the Status of Women was to write the 1952 Convention on the Political Rights of Women. The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women builds on previous conventions, and its Article 7 concerns women's access to decision-making in political and public life. So if you look at, this is made since 1952. So it's not akin to only the Gambia. It's a universal problem. And internationally, efforts have been made to help the situation so that we could address it. But if you look at Article 7 also guarantees the right of women to vote in all elections and public referendums and to be eligible for election to all publicly elected bodies. The right to participate in the formulation of government policy and its implementation, to hold public office and perform all public functions of all levels of government, and the right to participate in non-governmental organizations as well. So it has already been stated by members, did not meet that threshold. Honorable Speaker, my only other area of comment is the objects and reasons, and I've not seen any mention of nominated members there. I believe the objective of the bill is not to bring more men through nomination or bring nomination to bring more people or more members to this parliament, but rather more women. That is our focus. And since it is not in the objects and reasons, I therefore think that we should deal away with nomination. It has already been explained. Nomination comes through colonial rule. They don't want to give us the power. And therefore, they bring this nomination to be able to influence decisions in Parliament. And other members also have explained that nominating people to an elected body like this will not serve to help the democracy to flourish. We should not promote monarchical traditions that would fetter the development of our democracy in the Gambia. Rather, we should come up with laws that will do away with monarchical traditions. Nominating people to parliament by the president. Why? The people have voted for the president, and the law has given him powers to do what he is supposed to do. So this parliament should not be increasing that number. Instead, we should be reducing that number, that 5, from him, to be able to add it to the quota system so that more women can come to this parliament, but not to increase it. Nomination is really interference by the executive in the decision-making process of the National Assembly. And that's what we should not allow to continue. On that note, I thank the honorable member for the steps and the women activists in the ministry as well for all the efforts. I've participated in almost 4 engagements on this matter, and throughout I continue to emphasize the lack of need for nominated members in the bill. But I don't know, for some reason, it always surfaces. Now it is reaching here. I think it will not pass here. We'll have to expunge it from the bill. On that note, I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Opa Anyomi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, let me join my colleagues to thank the mover of the motion for bringing this important bill before this assembly. Honorable Speaker, the bill entitled Constitutional Amendment Bill 2021. These bills came to rejuvenate our hopes in terms of enlarging democratic space and the empowerment of women and girls in our country. Honorable Speaker, much has been said by my colleagues. I don't think I have much to say, only to ask the honorable member, the mover of the motion, whether there is any need for any further consultation before the enactment of this bill, as it is going to incur financial cost to the government by looking at Section 101, subsection 4, Roman figure 1, 2, and 3, meaning that such a bill cannot be brought to the Assembly through a private member bill. Have you made any further consultation, or there is any need to do more further consultation? But nonetheless, honorable member, honorable speaker, I am fully in support of this bill, and the entire constituency of Opanyomi are behind this bill, simply because it has come to empower our mothers, our wives, and our daughters. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Honorable Minority Leader, thank you. Member for Danku.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, let me also thank the member for Banjul South for coming up with this wonderful bill, and also her courageous act, because if you look at the composition of the Assembly, you have only 3 women elected out of the whole 53 members, and you have 2 women nominated. Then the composition of women in the Assembly is very low. If she can have an initiation to come to this Assembly and ask for something from the men, she might be very courageous. Honorable Member for Banjul South, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, the bill in place actually came to cater for 14 seats for women in the National Assembly. On its technicality, I think the member for Busumbala have outlined most of the issues, which I will not actually go through to delay the proceeding of the House. Honorable Member, Honorable Speaker, the bill actually, if you looked at it, anything that comes to uplift the welfare of women in this country, I don't think it is discriminatory, because it is a positive, even where it is discriminatory, it is positive, because it comes definitely to uplift the women. But actually, Honorable Speaker, if you look at it, it must pass through political participation, because election in this country, before you can be elected, you must pass through either through a political party or an independent. And Honorable Speaker, if you look at almost all political parties in this country, there is an executive position within these political parties called women's mobilizer. It's very difficult. You see men mobilizer, you see women mobilizers all over. This is an executive position in all political parties in this country. Women mobilizer. You will not see men mobilizer. Why? Because the women constitute 50%, I can say, of the population and 50% of the voter population of this country. Then if they should ask for something that passed through these political parties and make an emphasis of salary, I believe they ought to be given that mandate. So the women of this country, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, but we will use this forum to talk to the women. The men are not the problem of the women. The women
are the problem of themselves. You are a problem of yourself. If you have 50%, almost in every constituency in this country, if we go for election, if we go for an election in every constituency, and you want a woman to win there, she will win. Because you constitute the larger vote in almost all these constituencies. But always, I can remember when I was at the Pan-African Parliament, the then president is a Tanzanian woman. Maybe Syria Jata might know her. Mungela. She said, the woman, you have to leave your PhD syndrome, that is pull her down, then you adopt the PHU, pull her up. Then you will succeed. Then you will succeed on what you advocate for. Anything. The member for Serekunda have cited a very important amendment that we did here. The 50% of each public institution, not 30%. We have given it to you. But you came and then asking for something that is lower. But still now we are ready to give it to you because you want us to be giving it to you. As men, we're going to give it to you. Honorable Speaker, I don't think I would belabor on the debate because all the issues surrounding the bill have been dealt with. So I thank the member for Banjul South for your courage to be tabling this bill for consideration. The only issue I would want to add before I sit down, the member for Councillor, I think private members bill, it is not only on this legislature. I can remember one, Idrissa Samba Sallah, the public smoking. It was, I think it's two, but I can remember Idrissa Samba Sallah. Yeah, the public smoking. He came with that one as a private member's bill. So, Honorable Speaker, on that note, I thank you.
Thank you. Banjul North. Thank you.
Legal barriers, legal obstacles, cultural obstacles, social obstacles or barriers, and you want to level up. Discrimination. In the Gambia here, we don't have systemic discrimination in terms of the law for women, as cited by honorable members, that the law allows for anybody who satisfies the constitutional requirements of age and the other requirements to contest. And this, is open to both men and women. But of course, there are cultural and social barriers that are posing as a challenge for the full participation of women in the life of this country in terms of governance, in terms of managing the affairs of society. It has been cited that women, and it cannot be overemphasized, the importance of women in our lives. It is not them and us. We all have a stake in promoting women empowerment, in protecting the rights of women. In fact, it's human rights in general, including women. But because they have been disadvantaged, that sector of the society has been disadvantaged historically. That is why some form of attention is needed to remedy some of these challenges. Our mothers, I think each and every one of us, hold your mom dearly. So as such, it should reflect, it should go across the board, that any woman must be considered as a mom, and is indeed a mom, is indeed a sister, an aunt. So what you wish for yourself should be equally wished for the woman. It should not be symbolism. It should not be tokenism. You shouldn't just have women there just to dress up that there are women there. We want the involvement of women to have value addition in society, in the lives of women in particular and lives and society in general. So therefore, when we are promoting women empowerment, it's empowerment, to empower them to be participating in decisions, to be deciding for everybody, but not has provided for 30% representation of women at the political and institutional levels of the state, government, National Assembly, everywhere. Of course, it is the National Assembly that takes, it's the Constitution of the Republic that takes precedence over every law, every statute. That they should be represented. And I mean, women of